joining me. Today I want to talk about Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, the first movement. And I have the feeling that everybody always wants to learn how to play this piece. And I also have the feeling that very often people learn it in a way that takes way too much time. And that's why I wanted to show you a few shortcuts that will make you learn it at least 10 times faster. And of course you could apply all of these tricks for any other piece in the piano repertoire. So if you want to find out what those tricks are, then keep watching. So the very first thing we want to do is to build the skeleton first, and then we add the meat in the end. Just imagine your God creating a human being. So by building the skeleton, I mean, let's just reduce it to a minimum, and we're going to play only the thumbs, all the notes that have the thumb, which happen to be the notes that are on each beat. So we have 4 beats per bar here. And you can do it hand separately at first, of course. This is how it would sound with 2 hands together, only your thumbs. This is my cat. Here we go. And so on. And you see, try to play those thumbs as evenly as possible, because this will also help you later on with keeping an even beat, even pulse. It will act almost like a natural metronome, and will help you play evenly, and that way the music will flow so much better. Of course, that's always what we're looking for. The next thing we're going to do, now that we played all the notes with the thumbs and we're familiar with that, we're going to add in both hands the 5th finger of each every time it falls on the beat. So in the left hand, it would just mean that you're basically playing the octave, since you already figured out the notes of the top, so that shouldn't be too difficult. And in the right hand, it's the same. I'm going to start on the bar where the melody comes in for the first time, which is bar 5. And this is how it would sound like now with the 5th fingers as well. So we're basically just playing octaves. Here it's not an octave anymore, but just 1 and 5. Alright, so now we're going to add a little bit of harmonies into that mix, and we're going to now work on the positions in your right hand by figuring out the chords. So for example, for the 2 first bars in the right hand, we have this chord, the C sharp minor chord in the second inversion. It wouldn't make too much sense to repeat it as many times as it's written down, which is 8 times. Just play it once you figured it out, and then move on to the next one, which is bar 3. And notice that the 2 top notes stay the same. You just have to shift the G sharp from the G sharp to the A. Alright, so you figured out your next chord. Now we're moving on. So this one repeats twice, so no need to repeat it, just really play the positions only once. The next one is halfway through that bar. Yeah, just work on those positions, on those shifts first, without, as I said, having to repeat them as much as they're written on the score. And start to feel really comfortable, familiar with them. You'll see they're really not hard to figure out, and they're really close to each other. They're all neighbors. You don't have to do any crazy jumps or anything. Then we're going to add the left hand to that. So still just play the positions. It would sound like this. Also try to really keep an even beat. Leave out the melody for now, just the harmonies, the chords, and the left hand. And so on. Really, you can do it much slower than that. Take all the time in the world that you need to just start to feel really comfortable with the shifts and the harmonies. Now it starts to sound really familiar already, doesn't it? Once we figured out the harmonies, we're going to add the fifth finger in the right hand as well, the melody, but only still on the beat. I'm going to start on the bar where the melody comes in, which is bar 5. So it would sound like this. So the chords. And then we start adding that G sharp, but just on the beat. And we hold it while we play the other chords. So holding the pinky in the right hand. Added one note on the top each time by keeping exactly the same chords that we figured out previously. So now that we learned the notes, we need to work on the sound, on the balance, and that's very important, obviously. And it's not that easy. So we have 3 elements in this movement. We have the top, which is the melody. We have the middle, which is the harmony, and we have the bottom, which is the bass. And 2 elements are to be played with your right hand on its own, which is quite difficult. Let's make it easier for our right hand, and we're going to divide the treble clef within our 2 hands, meaning that our left hand is going to play the harmony, and our right hand is going to play the melody, which means we can control it better. So the right hand should be louder and the left hand softer. So this is how it's going to look like. And of course I'm starting on the part where the melody comes in. So you somehow can control it better. Between the 2 elements, because there is one hand for each. And spend a lot of time doing this actually until it sounds exactly like you want, which would be easier to control, as I said. Another thing that helps to lighten up the harmony is, in that case now our left hand, is to play it staccato, so short, while the right hand stays just holding the notes normally, so like this. It will help you to play it softer in the end. So yeah, I think this is a great exercise to control the sound and the balance by just dividing one clef that has a lot of material in between 2 hands. Well, now your ear got used to hear it. It was a bit of a luxury for your ear because it got used to hear the treble clef with two hands with a greater sound control. So it will help, it will guide you better, guide your right hand on its own better now because it already knows what it wants to hear, if that makes sense. So we're going to try now what we just did with two hands, we're going to try with one hand. And let's start by doing the triplets staccato actually, and the top you're holding it. So like this. You can do it slow in the beginning. Make sure your wrist is relaxed. Everything actually. Shoulders. By keeping that staccato. Okay, now keep the same tempo and do it legato. And I think what really helps is if your wrist goes up and down, so down when you're playing the thumb and up when you're going actually upwards in the melody as well. So like this, down, up, down, up, down, up, like this. You see you're drawing circles. I'm not using any pedal. I think it's better for practice. So down, up. Now we are finally ready to put everything together. I would still recommend to play the triplets staccato because not only will it help you, as I said, to play it softer, but also to play it more evenly. I find that practicing staccato really helps with the regularity. So it would sound like this. Still do it at a fairly slow tempo. Then you keep the same tempo, but you're doing it legato. Keep the same tempo. Pretend you're still doing it staccato, but you're not. Follow the top. It's always nice to hear the bass as well. We're back to the tonic. Always be aware of the harmony change. And then you can speed it up a little bit once you feel comfortable, but always with the beautiful movements that will help you control the sound. Oh, then there's another passage that I wanted to give you some tips on. In the second page, this one. I would first, instead of again, trying to figure out note by note and so on, just figure out the 4-note chord, which is in the same position, by the way. So the first one, don't worry about the left hand, it's just the G sharp octave, so just right hand. First position, 4 notes, diminished 7s, D sharp, F sharp, A, B sharp. You can play them very easily together. Okay, let's figure out the next 4-note chords, so that would be starting on the A, again diminished 7th chord, and then the last one of that bar, starting on the D sharp. You can all play it with the same fingering, 1, 2, 3, 5. So, and then try to group them together. That's for the first bar. Then do the same thing with the next bar, 4 notes together. Next bar, 4 notes together. And so on. You can do it very easily, even when it ends up going down. Always 4 notes. You can all grab them together in the same position. This will make your life so much easier. If you think in your head by blocks of 4 and not 1 plus 1 plus 1, what's the next one you see? It will make your brain faster and therefore your fingers faster as well. Once you feel really comfortable with those positions, I would always stop after you've played those 4 notes, but as written on the score. So that was your first position. Beethoven writes it like that. Okay, but let's stop here before we move on to the next one. Stop. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you always keep that block of 4 idea. You can do it faster also if you want to. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But always stop afterwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so on. And do that a few times, so it's almost like in your mind you're building little wagons, like a train, you know, and on the top there's the locomotive. I hope that makes sense. So you're just having those in your mind, and then eventually you put them together, but they're still wagons on their own, but then they form a train that goes faster. So like this. And it's magical. And yes, well, I hope you found those tips helpful. I hope you can apply them for yourself, and you can apply them also for other pieces you're working on. And please let me know how you're getting on. I would love to hear from you.